my name is Katie Simmons, and thanks for checking out Food Purpose, a whole plant-based, oil-free cooking show. Today, what I'm going to show you how to make is an all-time holiday favorite, pumpkin pie. Here's what you're going to need for this recipe. You're going to need about half a cup of brown rice flour, half a cup of chopped dates, quarter cup of pecan pieces, and a fourth a cup of cashew butter. We'll also use about a fourth a cup of water. And then when we're making the filling, you're going to need 2 cups of pumpkin puree, or about 1 15-ounce can of pumpkin, 3/4 cup of dates, which have been soaking in warm water for about 10 minutes, 2 tablespoons of cashew butter, 2 tablespoons of molasses, 3/4 cup of vanilla almond milk, a 1/4 teaspoon or half teaspoon of freshly ground nutmeg, and 3 tablespoons of flax meal. All right, it is pie time, and the first step of making a pie is to make the crust. So let's get started on our pumpkin pie crust, and I like to use a little pecan action in my crust, but the first ingredient of any crust is some sort of flour. So I have brown rice flour. You'll notice it's gluten-free. You can use chickpea flour as well. And then you need a little bit of fat in your flour, and today I'm using cashew butter. Instead of regular butter, it has a little more fiber, a lot more nutrition. And for our sweetness in our crust, we're using up chopped dates. Oh, I love these. I always have these laying around. They're going to go in, and of course, it's the holiday, so we got to do a little pecan action, little pecan pieces in there. And I just want to get this pulsed up. So you'll keep pulsing it, and you'll notice you'll get these little pea-sized clumps. Now, I counted this once, and it was about 25, but it's hit or miss. So as soon as you start seeing these little clumps come together, right? You got little clumps in your flour, you got some little date pieces going on. This is when you can add your water. And I like to just turn my machine on and drizzle in the water until it all comes together into a ball. Perfect, just like that. And if you need to add a little extra water, it's simple. Just do it, and you want to see it until it all comes together. That's when you know you're ready. You see you've got this nice clump of dough together, and that's going to be your crust. So we want to take the blade out, safety first. Yeah. Ooh. All right. And for me, I like to line my pie dish with a little bit of foil. I'm not using any oil to spray my dish, and the foil is just going to make quick, easy removal later on. So why not make life a little bit easier? Especially if you're going to the trouble of making pumpkin pie. You might as well make it a little easier on yourself. So start at the center, and you can just use your hands to press that crust all the way to the edges. And if it starts sticking too much, you could add a little bit extra flour to your hand. There we go. Work with me, crust. Work with me. Beautiful. So you just want to get it to the edge. And then we're going to cook this crust off until it's nice and crispy, a little bit dark golden brown. So we're going to pop this in our 425-degree oven for about 10 to 12 minutes until you get a nice little golden action happening around the edges. Now, while that's roasting off, it's perfect time to make the filling for our pumpkin pie. And we're actually going to use the same container. You don't even need to clean it out because we didn't use eggs or anything like that. So you can use the same thing, keep all that awesome flavor in there. And our filling for pumpkin pie, for sweet potato pie, it's all the same. You're basically making a custard. Now, custard has the same ingredients. The first one is sugar. And you know me, you know I don't like to use sugar, but I still like to use sweet things. So I'm going to use dried dates, and these have been soaking for about 10, 15 minutes. I call it the prune effect when they're like pruny, you know what I mean, with your fingers. And after the dates have been soaking, so they're totally falling apart, I give them a good squeeze, and I do that for a couple of reasons. I mean, it's very therapeutic. You're dealing with a lot of stress these days, you know, the holidays and all. But it's also, I'm checking for any pits that might have snuck by. And I'm also squeezing out some of extra water because I don't want to have a watery custard. All right, so my dates are going in. Boom. And dates have tons of fiber. It's crazy how much fiber is in dates, how much potassium is in dates. So even though we're using sugar, our version of sugar, it's still a healthy kind of sugar. You don't feel too bad about it. Now, I'm from the South, and one of our traditional Southern ingredients is molasses. And this is definitely on the sweet side. It adds a smoky quality to your pumpkin pie. So I'm going to add that in. If you don't want to use molasses, you can just totally leave it out of this recipe. You'll still have awesome pumpkin pie. So we got our sugar in there. And now the next part of custard is milk. And today I'm just using vanilla almond milk. Simple. You can use soy milk. You can use sweetened, unsweetened almond with vanilla, hazelnut I've even seen these days. So any sort of non-dairy milk you want to use, go for it. With our milk, we need to add a little bit of fat. And traditional custard might have egg yolks or butter in it or heavy cream. I'm using cashew butter. So cashews have tons of fiber in them. There's good nutrition in them and good nutrients. So we're kicking it up. We don't have to tell anybody. Remind me, oh yeah, we're making pumpkin pie. So you have to have pumpkin in there. And this is actually fresh pumpkin that I roasted off, but canned pumpkin works just as great. Look at that beautiful orange color. It's just delicious. If you like to use other squashes, like butternut squash is awesome in here for something a little different, or even sweet potato pie, something different. And then every custard has to have some sort of eggs, and eggs work as a binder in the custard to hold it together. Cheesecake custard, all of those have eggs in it. I'm using flax meal in this. So there's no eggs at all, and flax sort of is a magical ingredient in the plant-based world in that it acts a lot like eggs, and you can use it in a lot of your baking instead of eggs. Now, it is the holidays, and anytime I use pumpkin, I love to use a little bit of nutmeg, just fresh grated nutmeg. 10 scrapes is probably gonna be enough, maybe 20, depending on how much you love it. Or if you have pumpkin pie spice mix, sometimes we have that in our spice cabinet and you gotta use it up. This is your time to shine, right? So everything goes in the pot. It's as complicated as this. You turn it on, you buzz it up for custard. Brilliant. So once it all comes together and it looks pretty custard-like, you actually want to taste it, and that's something you can't do with traditional custard because it has raw eggs in it. So I like to taste it, give it a little quality control. You don't want any, it's just for me. No, that's perfect. All right, so our crust has been baking for about 10 to 12 minutes, and you'll start to smell that pecan essence coming out, that nuttiness. So time to pull it out of the oven, and you'll see this nice little golden kind of thing going around the edge. So that's when you know your crust is ready. And then it is as simple as filling your crust with the custard. Gorgeous. And you'll notice this pumpkin custard that we made is a little darker. And the reason for that is because my Southern recipe called for that molasses, remember? And that gives you that darker color, but if you're looking for more traditional bright orange custard, you can just leave that out, and again, you'll have that more orange from the pumpkin in there. All right, so just spoon them around, boom, boom, boom. Get a nice, easy, even layer. Beautiful. So now that your custard's ready to go, your pumpkin pie is all set, all you gotta do is bake it. And to bake it, it just goes in a 350 oven. It's a little bit cooler temperature than we had earlier. Perfect. And it's gonna take a long time for this to set, probably about 40 minutes to an hour. I got a cooler temperature in my hot oven. Now we are ready. Look at this pumpkin pie. It's amazing. You serve this to your family and nobody will guess that it is a whole plant-based, oil-free dessert. Not bad, right? Thanks for playing in my kitchen. For this and more recipes or information, visit us at foodpurpose.com. And remember, give your food purpose.